Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by on this dull, wet, blowy day. We have a bit of a storm blowing across. Nothing compared with what's going on in the southern states at the moment. You know, a couple of branches down maybe, but that'll be about it. That's a storm over here anyway. But I thought I'd have a chat about light. Now, my eyes and the camera at the moment are making everything look normal. But my DSLR would tell me that the light level in here is too low for taking decent pictures. And if it's too low for taking decent pictures, it's probably too low for the plants as well. You know, they're relative mechanisms that work in response to light are not far off going on hold on a day like this. You know, the light level is very low. Now, I had to look up an old video that I did around this time last year. I had to search for it as well, to find out when I took that shade netting off along that end, because that's the first bit of shade netting to come off for the winter. And that happened towards the end of October, because what happens is, God, the sound change when I step in here. The sun comes in here first, and that happens about sort of 10:30, 11 in the morning. So I'm missing out on some sun on the grow room because of the, you know, the aspect of the grow room, and the house is in the way. It's a two-storey house. The sun has to get over the roof before it hits here, and it hits here first. And at that point, it's at its strongest. Yeah. So this is the last shade netting to come off, and this doesn't come off until sort of like December time, beginning of December, when the sun is very low in the sky and very weak. So even directly through the glass, it's not going to do any harm to the plants. And certainly for my resting dendrobiums, they need that light. It's important to them during the winter, especially as the day lengths are short. So this is the last lot to come off, but soon, I mean today, all this shade netting could come off, but I don't want to be taking it down and putting it back up again and taking it down and putting it back up again. Too much of a faff. So I have to get to the point where the sun comes round here, and then through the gap through there, you can see that huge shadow. That is an enormous tree, yeah? So after lunch, about 1 o'clock, 1:30, the sun goes behind that tree now, yeah? And that's it. The sun on the grow room is lost until it comes out the end of that tree there. And by then, it's already quite low in the sky, and it sets. So it's not even there for very long, yeah? So that's what the autumn looks like here, and the light intensities and levels. But all the time this time of year, the sun's getting weaker. You know, literally day by day. The days get shorter, the sun gets lower in the sky, it loses its strength. So at some point, when the sun comes out here, it is weak enough that these plants up this end can take that direct sun through the glass without burning. But obviously I don't want to take it off too early, because otherwise that might not be true. But what I thought I'd do today is, this is nothing more than a demo, which I hope the camera can pick up and doesn't blind everybody. I've put this grow light in here just to see what effect it has. I'm just going to try and get it in a position, something like where it might be, sort of pointing at the plants. This is not going to be its permanent position by any means. So it just, because it's not fixed properly, it just wobbles around at the moment on the lead. Somewhere like that. So that's just generally pointing out into the grow room. And I'm just going to change hands so that I can point the camera at the plants and then turn the light on. And we'll see what happens. Let's see if I can find the flipping switch. Oh, there it is. Oh. Come on. Now even the camera is showing that that is a lot more light than was there just now when it wasn't on. You know, this is daytime, and that is a dramatic increase in light. And I think, generally speaking, around the grow room, it's enough light to stop these orchids shutting down, even at a distance. I mean, this is, I'll turn the camera around, I'm not looking at the flipping thing, but you know, this is a bright light. It's pointing right in my face at the moment. But if you look over here, I can cast a strong shadow on these plants with my hand, and that's a long way from the light. And quite honestly, your hand test is a good way of checking your actual light levels. You know, if you cast a hard shadow, you're getting good light. If it's a fuzzy shadow, it's not so good. No shadow at all, plants aren't really growing in that level of light. So yeah, just that one light is even getting down here. Yeah, I can even cast a shadow down in this area, and it's lighting up a hell of a lot of the grow room in one go. Now, if I'm going to use this to supplement daytime light rather than extend the day length, which is what I plan on doing with it. So, you know, on bright days I don't need the light on, but on dull days I think it could do some good. And you have to bear in mind, some people could be worried about the running costs. Well, if you think about it, when the sun comes out, oh, I must stop looking at that light, that is blinding. When the sun's out, the temperature rises, and that fan comes on, that fan comes on, and if it gets really warm, the extractor and the inlet fan come on. They're all motors, they all use energy, yeah? And at such a time, the temperature will rise, otherwise these fans wouldn't come on in the first place. If the temperature rises, the foggers come on. So the amount of energy being used is, you know, that level of energy. Well, on a dull day, none of these units are going to come on. They're all just going to stay off. So having the light on is not using more energy, it's just using it differently. And as I've always said, now that my channel's monetized, the stuff that goes on in this grow room isn't paid for by me, it's paid for by YouTube. You know, the money I'm earning, pennies I get from YouTube nowadays, help pay to run this grow room. So it'll contribute to the energy costs, some new plants now and again, some new kit, because the kit doesn't last forever. I mean, this year I've had a new fogger because one of them broke. I've had to get a new extractor fan, that one up there, because that one failed, and I had to get a new extractor fan because that one seized up, ground to a halt. So, you know, there is a running cost. And that's before you start talking about fertilizers and pots and media and stuff like that, you know. So there is there's a running cost to this hobby, albeit not high and not continuously. But, you know, when you've got a lot of automation like I have, there is an energy relative cost, and in the not too distant future, the heater's going to have to come out here. And that is a relatively high running cost, because obviously that's a motor and a heater. So, you know, that's my high element. But at the time the heater gets used, nothing much else is going on. So it just sort of, like I say, it transfers the energy from one lot of kit to a different lot of kit. But yeah, I'm thinking of trying to find a place for this grow light that it can stay permanently and at the moment be just manually controlled. So when I get a dull day like this, just come in and flick the switch, you know, and that'll do for now. And on bright days I won't need it. But we've gone down below 11 hours a day now, so you know, we are getting to the point where this grow light is going to serve the purpose to which I really want to use it for, which is to maintain that day length at around 11 hours. So obviously, as it starts to get dark, there's no point in waiting for it to get dark and then turning it on, because you'll mess the plants up. If you see what I mean. You know, as it starts to get dark, they respond slowly. So by stopping it getting dark, that response doesn't happen until the grow light goes off, and then they can get their nighttime. They do need that dark. We talk a lot about light, but they do need some dark as well. Yeah, so yeah, light. At this time of year, it's dropping down not only in quality but in quantity. Day length's getting shorter in the UK at quite a rapid rate as well. You know, it's really noticeable at this time of year. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and work out a place You know, I mean, at the moment, some of those plants are within a couple of feet of that grow light. That's just not on. So some plants are going to have to move to get away from it. And I mean, at the moment, some plants are not getting any light at all. You know, that area up there is getting nothing. That's just because of the daft angle it's pointing at the moment. And right down here, there's no light getting down here. But if I can get it up in the roof at an angle, pointing downwards, the light should spread into most parts, and then I can shuffle some plants around to get the ones that need that higher light on a more consistent basis into places where they can benefit from them and from the light, and then those that don't need it quite so much can be farther away and in places where it doesn't reach, because other plants are, you know, the plants cast a shadow basically. So, you know, but I think it's going to be worth doing. I got the light for free, you know, on the grounds that I do, you know, a video demonstration and review of the light. That was the deal. I've sort of done an original one, and I'll do another one of its usage, you know, how I'm going to use it, what it looks like, where I've set it up, and then I'll do a conclusion video, you know, sort of in the spring, when the light levels come back to some sort of sensible levels. But yeah, it is it's difficult, and if you grow in the home, the changes are probably far more dramatic than mine are, because I've got an awful lot of glass and a clear roof above the plants. That shade netting will come off soon as well, at the same time as that. That lets more light in from above. But if you're growing in the home, you tend to get your light source from one direction, i.e. in through a window. And the amount of light that you get, you know, even a foot away from that glass is less than I get out here. Yeah? And if you get farther away from the glass, your light level's dropping off dramatically, and you don't notice the change. You don't notice, as autumn kicks in, the fact that your light levels are dropping as well as your day lengths. So you might need to think about moving things closer to the glass, yeah, to get that extra bit of light. As I said, if you've got a DSLR type camera or something with a light meter on, you know, turn the flipping thing on near your window and then take a step backwards and have a look at the readings and see how much light has dropped away, and then take another step back and see the difference. It's quite dramatic, but our eyes adjust to that, so that our eyes don't see that dramatic change as well as a proper light meter. Anyway, some ideas and some changes afoot, but to get this grow light set up in a sensible place, which I still haven't worked out where it is, I think the first thing that'll have to go is that rack, because that's probably where I want to put the light. It's actually up on that beam, which means this lot will just be in the way. But I've got quite a lot of spare hanging space. I can find places for those. I mean, I've got a wire up here that doesn't even get used. So I've got other places to hang plants. Hanging space I'm okay with. I mean, you can see I even use the edges of the racks to hang some plants. That's just my in bloom set at the moment, which I can see from inside the house. So that's why they're there. That's not their proper place, it's just while they're in bloom. So yeah, think about your light levels and how they change with your seasons. If you live in a part of the world where those seasons don't really happen, then you don't need to worry so much, do you? But certainly here in where 4 distinct seasons occur, the light level between summer and winter is dramatically different, as is the day lengths. So some adjustments may be required to take full advantage of those lower light levels and see how we go. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this. You know, I mean, at the moment, these plants here, it's possible under a period of time, these would burn. You know, they're about a foot away from that light, and it recommends a meter for a reasonable growing set of conditions. Well, you know, so I've got to think about where it goes. I don't want anything getting frazzled. And don't forget, light burn is different to heat burn. Heat burn is browning and crisping. Light burn is cell damage. The cell structures get damaged and you get pitting and patching and stuff like that. But it is different. They often happen at the same time for the same reason. Not only has it got too bright, but it's also got too hot. You know. So anyway, yeah, some changes on the go, coming soon. Probably next week, depending on how the weather goes. I mean, at the moment we've got lousy weather, and the sun comes out now and again. We don't get many sunny days on the trot anymore. Not once we get into the UK autumn. We tend to get, you know, dull days, rainy days, windy days like today. So yeah, some adjustments coming soon. But yeah, I just thought I'd show the difference between, you know, let me change hands again so that I can point the camera. That's where most of the light is going at the moment. And if I can, without getting totally blinded, actually turn it off again. It's quite a drop. So it does make a hell of a difference. So I think we'll be setting that up. I need to get this weekend out of the way. I've got an orchid show tomorrow, and I've got a mammoth watering session today because I should have done some yesterday, so I've got twice as much to do today. And part of the reason for that is so that I don't have any watering to do tomorrow, because I need to set off quite early in the day. And I will film that show. It's a show that's filming is easy, and because I'll be going on my own and not taking my daughter, I'm not under any time pressures or anything like that. I can get there early and I've got all day, so I'll get a decent video done of that show. I was going to say it will be the last one of the year, but it won't, because we've got the British Orchid Congress, which is at the beginning of November, which is at the Rithlington School. So we get to see the Rithlington Orchid Project glass houses at the same time. But I'll say now, I will probably not be able to film in the school glass houses because they are manned by the school children. And YouTube gets funny if you start filming youngsters, yeah, without express permission and stuff like that. But I can take some stills and put them in a video, or I can say things like, "Oi, can you get out of the way? I'm filming." But you know, you've got to watch what you're up to with getting youngsters in videos. So I can film the show because that's like a public event. But once you get into their glass houses, it's part of the school. You know, so I'd have to be careful there. Anyway, that'll do for today, just to play around with some light and a chat about changing light levels. They are important, and they need thinking about. And when the days get short and the days get dull, the more light you can give your plants, the better off they'll be. If you can't, they will just slow down almost to a standstill, and you just have to put up with that. And that's what I've had to put up with. And the plants don't do, you know, they don't do bad. But I get a lot more light out here than you ever will in a home, because I've got light coming in from clear glass and the roof. So it's coming in from two big sides and above, so that it's quite good light. You know, that's the benefit of having some sort of greenhouse or external structure. But anything that's got a solid roof above it, like a house, and walls with holes in called windows, just isn't going to get the same levels of light. So you need to accommodate. And I'll see you next time. I've been waffling on far too long already. See you next time. Oh, and a big thanks for all your, you know, when I said about doing another talk, the consensus is I need to do dendrobiums, which is probably, you know, in the back of my mind, that's what I was going to do anyway. But as a consequence, some good ideas have come up for other videos that don't need to be talks. They can actually be, you know, videos. And I'm always open to ideas for videos. So I've got some ideas for some video subjects out of the same sort of question, really. So see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.